Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control on the channel. Today we are Cup Series racing at the Infineon Raceway, as we have just 10 races to go on our custom scheduled Cup Series season, and yet another road course on tap today. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well, and go blue, because Michigan has beaten Ohio State for the second straight year. Just want to get that out of the way right now. I am pumped about that win. First time that I've ever seen them go undefeated, at least through the regular season in my lifetime. Maybe we can turn it into a natty. We'll see what happens there. But speaking of championship, we'll see if our driver Greg Biffle can climb back into the championship standings here a little bit further. He's been good on the road courses this season. He'll be starting on the pole today. That's going to help him out quite a bit. We'll see if that will end up working out for Greg Biffle, as we have about a quarter of the season to go. And it's the most important quarter of the year into crowning the champion. The green flag is in the air. We're underway. Again, Biffle from the pole leading the field. To the green, there's already contact as he squeezes Tony Stewart. And Carl Edwards is going to get to the lead on the outside. That was not at all the opening lap Greg Biffle wanted from the lead. He tried to crowd Tony Stewart a little too much. And the guy he does not need to have lead any laps is the guy who took the lead from fourth. And that would be Carl Edwards. Biffle's going to be driving hard, trying to get back to him. Scott Wimmer to third. Another great qualifying effort for him on a road course this year. Cy Z, welcome into the stream. Patrick Shadley, thanks for tuning in also. Tony Stewart got back into third pretty quickly after the contact with Biffle as they went up the hill into the carousel at the start of the lap. Greg Biffle trying to get to his teammate Edwards. He's going to drive it in deep. He does not want Edwards to lead a lap at all cost. Into the braking zone, down on the bottom. There's contact as Biffle's willing to bump his teammate out of the way to make sure Edwards does not get any bonus points. But by the time they get to the start-finish line, there's more carnage. And Biffle will lead the opening lap of the race. And Edwards is going to slip back to about fourth. No caution, we stay green. And now Tony Stewart's all over the back of the 20. Aggressive opening lap of racing between teammates. Biffle's still just trying to get used to the handling of this car. Being pressured by Tony Stewart all of a sudden. Big bounce off the curb on the inside and then the outside. Protecting the bottom down into turn 7. In the hairpin. Billy Kramer, thanks for tuning in. $110 laps today at the Infineon Raceway, of course now known as Sonoma. The only traditional road course we raced this year would have been Watkins Glen, because at this time period in NASCAR, there were only 2 road courses on the actual schedule in 2005. Biffle finished at fourth at Watkins Glen. His teammate Mark Martin got the win. That was the first of 2 wins for Martin on the season. But Greg Biffle leading the first 2 laps from the pole today, despite the fact he had to really fight to keep Carl Edwards behind him on that opening lap. You can tell how desperate Biffle is now as we're in the final 10 races of the season to try to get back into the championship. Oh, missed the corner just a little bit there. Allowed for Tony Stewart to close in just a hair. Stewart with a big bounce off the curb. Wimmer still holding on to third. It's off to a good start at least. R6 and Blub also welcome into the stream. Yeah, move the start time up an hour. Sorry for the late notice on that today, but I have some family stuff going on later on tonight, so move this race up an hour so we can get the stream in and I can do the business I need to later. But at least it's a weekend, so I guess if we were to move the start time up at all, Saturdays and Sundays would probably be the best opportunity for it. Of course, tomorrow an early start time as well with the next race of our Cup Series custom schedule season. Our next race will be taking place at Phoenix, as we'll stay out west on a little West Coast swing here. 3 straight races out west in the late going of the season. And that race at Phoenix tomorrow, again, starts at noon Eastern Standard Time. But today, the business, got to focus really one race, one day at a time with this Cup Series schedule and try to get, again, Greg Biffle yet another win on the season. Carl Edwards, of course, coming off a win, which was his second win of the year at Texas in the last race where he battled Greg Biffle late. Biffle ended up running 2 laps short on fuel, and that costed him at least a second place finish, which he could have been very close behind Edwards in the standings in second place in the points, and that wasn't the case. We've got a caution on lap number 4, so that did not take long, but we have reached our first caution of the day, and it looks like trouble in turn 6. As one car hit the curb and then shot into the wall. There might have been contact. Truex off the curb and then nosed it into the wall. It looked like Casey Kane got a piece in the rear of Truex's car, so he didn't quite miss him. So caution is out. Greg Biffle will stay out of the pits, keep that track position. We'll have our first restart of the race. Mark DeMars, welcome into the stream also. And green flag is going to be in the air at lap 8. Biffle has led all 7 so far. Edwards has fallen outside of the top 5 as well. Look at Scott Wimmer to the outside of Tony Stewart in the carousel as Biffle beats everybody back to the throttle. Wimmer failed to make the pass, but he's able to get back in line in 3rd. Oh man, big bounce off the curb by Rusty Wallace, all 4 tires. Curb really throwing us at Sonoma. A lot of cars being thrown around. Biffle a little squirrely after he hit the curb that time before entering into the S's. My Thanksgiving was pretty good. Hopefully your guys' was too. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today as we get to lap number 9. Biffle trying to make this race as easy on himself as possible. And again, at all costs, trying to get the most laps led for a max points day. Because at Texas in the last race, Carl Edwards had a max points day on top of his win. He led the most laps as well. And Biffle's been very fast on the road courses, and even the ones he's DNF'd in, like the Talladega road course as well as the Texas Roval just 2 races ago. I should say Carl Edwards won at Atlanta. Our last 100% race was at Texas. But the last race we had was at Atlanta. That was a 50%er. We had a double header with 2 50% races between the California and Atlanta races. I can't believe how badly we beat him. I thought that was going to be a much closer game. I think a lot of people probably did. I mean, it was, though. It was a close game up until, score-wise at least, up until 5 minutes to go. The Michigan pulled away, but man, that was crazy. A lot of big plays in the first half really kept us in it because Ohio State beat us in the first half, even though, well, I mean, they were ahead by 3 at halftime, but I mean, just overall, they beat us in the first half. They were the better first half team, and we were the better second half team, but the turnovers were the big difference maker. They had 2 interceptions in the last 2 drives of the game for Ohio State. Really helped seal the deal. We had 2 big runs off of it. Well, not the last one. The last one we pretty much kind of ran the clock out, but the one before that, we had that second big run. That put the icing on the cake. About a 1 second lead for Greg Biffle. Stewart pulling away from third on back. Was that Missouri's rivalry game last night against Arkansas? Usually a lot of the bigger rivalry games are this week. Not all of them, but a lot of them. (27-7) already. Yeah, I saw it was 24-7. Iowa State just scored right before I started the stream. Oh, that was to make a bowl game too then for Missouri. They were definitely playing for something. Although Greg Biffle's slowly pulling away from Tony Stewart, Stewart's keeping decent pace with him at the same time. About a 10th or so a lap faster for Biffle, a 10th or 2 a lap faster. We'll have to see who can manage their tires better, though, over the course of the long run. I know this is a road course, and our last couple races were on ovals, but Biffle's having a hard time with grip in the last 2 races at both California and Atlanta. Now, we had an accelerated fuel window and tire stent as well, which also did not help with it being a 50% race. But this car is very loose towards the end of the run, so really trying to manage everything well right now. Of course, had a few extra caution laps, so it's less green flag laps on these tires for this run, at least to this point. We're on lap 13, but we've only had about 9 completed green flag laps so far. After the Martin Truex Jr. caution. It does seem like the curbing in turn 6 is more treacherous than any other corner on this track, and it's both the inside and the outside curb. That outside curb, though, we've seen quite a few drivers get out of shape, and of course that's how Truex wrecked. It didn't help he was side by side with Jeff Green at the time for position as well. Green never made contact with him, but Truex definitely drove it in a little too deep. Perhaps I got back into the gas a hair too soon. Hooking that curb all the way around turn 11 and then back to the start-finish line as they head through the kink on the front stretch. That was a very aggressive opening lap fight, though, between Greg Biffle and Carl Edwards, which was huge because Greg Biffle was able to not allow Carl Edwards to lead any laps. That was just ginormous for this 16 team to do what they did. Rainer Martinez, welcome into the stream. Staying race goal oriented, Kurt Busch and points close, Sadler. So you're saying to pass Kurt Busch in points today is the goal and then close in on Sadler and Edwards? The easiest way to do that is win. That's guaranteeing they're going to finish behind you. Outside of the contact on lap 1, though, Biffle's kept his car clean. He really went for it on that first lap, trying to play a lot of defense and aggressive offense, though, at the same time, while trying to get back around Edwards. After Edwards kind of slipped by, Biffle tried to block Stewart, turn 1, lap 1. I mean, the car feels a little bit free. But one thing that is the same with ovals and road courses, though, is you're a little bit looser. As long as you can hang on to it, you're going to be a bit quicker. Just trying to find that right balance of not being too loose. Risk burning the rear tires off the car like Biffle had problems with in the last couple races. And even Texas, to a certain extent, was kind of the same way. So really, the last 3 races, he's had issues with burning the rear tires up. A lot of that, of course, based on the tracks that we've been going to. And the last 3 racetracks were all intermediates, 2.5 miles and a 2-mile oval. Probably the 2 fastest 1.5 miles, and then the 2-mile oval of California, which very fast in its own right. Dark Lord of the Sith, thanks for tuning in. Carl Edwards and Elliott Sadler DNF, you have a chance to be the points leader. That's true. That's asking for a lot, though, to get the top 2 in points to both DNF in the same race. They're only 33 points apart from each other, so even though we've been talking about Carl Edwards in the championship, Elliott Sadler had a good doubleheader as well. He had top 5s in both races, but so did Carl Edwards, and Edwards got a win in one of those 2 races. Biffle finished 4th at California in the first race of the doubleheader and had a great strategy call to get him a top 5 finish, because if it wasn't for the strategy call, probably wouldn't have even finished in the top 10, and he wouldn't have led any laps, so he was able to get 5 bonus points as well because he led 8 laps in that race on his strategy, which was to go fuel only on the 2nd stop. And then at Atlanta, strategy at least gave him a chance. Unfortunately, he was 2 laps short on fuel, even though it appeared that he wasn't going to be short. I don't think any of us thought at the time of me making that last stop I was going to be short on fuel. Obviously, I knew that. I wouldn't have pitted when I did. I didn't even think it was possible, honestly. I thought we were well within the window. We had cars pitting well before us, too. I didn't want to stay out too long and risk falling back too far, because it did take a little bit to catch Edwards and Johnson, because they both cycled out ahead of us on that final green flag stop. Well, really what ended up being the second to last stop, and the final 4 tire pit stop. It took place under green. Tony Stewart still hanging within about 1.5 seconds behind Greg Biffles. We're at lap 18. Big bounce off the curb into the S that time for Biffle, as he manages the throttle. Tim Irvin, welcome into the stream. And we have a caution again, our second of the race, lap 18. So first at lap 8, lap 18 for caution number 2. And it might have been trouble in turn 6 again. No, it was not. Actually, Rusty Wallace going to shed a piece of debris, and Jeff Gordon ran it over. So the hood has fallen off of Rusty Wallace's Blue Deuce. Well, he was at least running in the top 5 at the very start. I'm not sure where he was there, but in the S's, hood has come off. Debris yellow, bringing out our second caution. And it'll be interesting to see what the strategy call will be here. Greg Biffle's going to pit. We'll see if anybody else will pit. It'll be 4 tires and fuel for the Biff. And no adjustments. I'm only pitting because I feel a lot of other cars are going to pit. After 18 laps. No, they stay out. Greg Biffle pits, but the rest of the field going to stay out of the pits here. So that's a bold call. Biffle going to give up the lead. That means Tony Stewart will get 5 bonus points. He'll be the leader on the restart. Rusty Wallace, who shedded the debris, was in third. Now he'll be up to second. But Greg Biffle going to take tires. It's going to put him back in traffic. Not ideal. That's the problem when you're the leader, though, and you have to make the decision before everybody else on whether to pit or not to pit. Mr. Clean Crew going to go to work. They're back on the car for the 3rd time in a row. I think Thanksgiving was pretty good. Mentioned earlier, hopefully everybody had a happy Thanksgiving. And keeping the... If you still have family at the house this weekend or over at family's house this weekend, hopefully you're still enjoying your time. Well, green flag back in the air. Go back to the far chase cam for now. We're probably going to get a stack up going uphill into the S's, so Greg Biffle's going to back off. Well, never mind. We didn't even have a chance. Caution's going to be out. Debris in turn 1, bringing out another yellow, our 3rd of the race. I couldn't tell who that was. Never mind. It was Jeff Burton in the 31. So Burton shedding debris. Car's going a bit wide after the fact. Trying not to run each other over under the caution. Oh, good thing I missed the debris. We're going to wait to see if the field pits here, because if they stay out, Biffle's going to end up topping off on fuel again. But if they pit, then Biffle can stay out. And it looks like they are all staying out again. So Biffle's going to top off on fuel. Even though it was only about a lap, he's still in last, might as well. I picked out Thursday too. I'm sure a lot of us, if not all of us, did. No tire limit either for Greg Biffle, might as well. Not going to hurt anything. Even though we didn't even really make it through the first turn. The 3 cautions already in today's race. We had 4 yellows in the first 50 laps at Atlanta and then went green the rest of the race. For over 100 laps, green flag to the end in that 50% race. So maybe we'll have something similar at Sonoma. Who knows? Of course, this is a full race. Hey, this is only getting our Mr. Clean Crew more repetition on 4-tire stops. $14.9, not too bad. Pretty quick. I mean, we were watching the 2011 Daytona 500 last night, and they were having about 15-second lap times in 2011, so 2005, 14.9 is pretty good. So green flag back in the air. We'll see if we get another debris caution. We've had a couple back-to-back. I'm not even sure how those 2 cars had damage. I don't remember Rusty Wallace or Jeff Burton having severe contact with anybody. But they must have to have those cautions come out. Greg Biffle sitting back, expecting a stall out in the S's up ahead, wants no part of it. Really, this entire first lap or 2, he's just going to kind of be patient back here. He's really trying to drive a smart race. He's on an alternating strategy now. He's lost track position, which is going to stink for him to try to get the most laps led. Didn't really want to have happen what has happened. A lot of cars wadding up too wide. A couple really trying to widen their arc out. And we've got another caution. I thought I saw the debris flying in the air, but I wasn't entirely sure. In the Esses, once again, caution has come out for the 4th time and her 3rd for debris already. And it is off of Kyle Petty, I believe, this time. No, sorry, Casey Kane. Casey Kane's hood is now falling off. I don't know why there's so many cars with damage. I have really no clue why there is as many cars with damage as there is. And we'll see if they'll pit again. Or stay out again, I should say. And if they do, Biffle will pit again. Might as well take advantage of it. And he'll be pitting because they saw that they were staying out. At least when you're far enough back, you can tell. Biffle would have just stayed out the entire time if he would have known nobody else was going to pit. We're taking advantage of this situation. I'm not bringing out the cautions. I've had 0 to do with them. I still have no clue as to how many cars have gone a lap down. We are already at 4 cautions. Not even 30 laps in at Sonoma. It's almost like our Watkins Glen races. I'm used to Watkins Glen having a lot of cautions on this game, not Sonoma. It's weird that we've had 4 already. And only 1 crash, though. And Casey Kane actually has damage because he had clipped Martin Truex Jr. when Truex spun in turn 6 on lap 4. So that's what I'm thinking, at least. Spending Jack Roush's hard-earned money today. On tires and fuel. Green flag back in the air. Lap 30 restart this time around. Long ways to go still in this one. 81 laps left as Tony Stewart has led a lot of laps now in this race with all these yellows coming out. A lot of stacking up going on up the hill into the carousel, nearly 3 wide at the very back of the pack. Greg Biffle not really looking to make any passes again because we've been seeing quite a few cautions, obviously, since he had pitted during that second yellow initially. Full contact with Brian Vickers. And Rusty Wallace to the lead on Tony Stewart in turn 7. Rusty Wallace going to pull out in front. A lot of cars swinging wide. Greg Biffle got to do the same. Making a pass on Brian Vickers in the 25. He's going to try not to be extra aggressive here, but maybe not looking to sit back any longer. 3 wide. Now it's down to side-by-side just up ahead. Biffle charging hard. Speaking of charging hard, here he comes. Way down to the inside, 3 wide. A little contact with Joe Nemechek, and he really forced his way in there. We'll bump and run on the 0-1 and Nemechek. Biffle up to P31 now. Oh, another stack up in the S's. Did a great job just keeping it off of Dale Jarrett in the 88 as he gets to his outside. Still alongside Jarrett. Jarrett slipping and sliding on the inside. Same as Biffle up high. Side by side into turn 6. Biffle going to let Jarrett go. He knew he was going to end up hitting that curb on the outside, and that's how Truex spun earlier. So Biffle was going to let Jarrett go. He's going to cross him over down to the bottom. A lot of contact in front of Biffle. Harvick into the back and Jamie McMurray. That checked some cars up, and Biffle ended up making contact with Harvick as a result. Still was able to clear the 49 and the 88. Jarrett and McMurray are side by side for 27th. Make that 26th, and now McMurray has cleared Jimmy Spencer. Harvick looking low, looking for a run. Biffle looking even lower. 3 wide moves for Greg Biffle as he falls in line, hits the tire wall on the inside a little bit, ricochets into Borised. Maybe he took that corner a little too low. He's up to 23rd. How about Rusty Wallace, though, in the lead? This is on PlayStation 2. We struggle here on Heat 4. Sonoma is my best road course on the NASCAR Heat games. Felt as if it was, at least. Biffle being maybe a little more aggressive than I anticipated, but I mean, at least he's not causing any accidents. That's the big thing here. If he stays close enough behind the 08 and the 00 in front of him, he's going to have a very good chance to get around him in turn 11. Meal to the inside of Kenny Wallace, side by side. Biff will get a pull out of line to make it 3 wide and into the braking zone. He's got much fresher tires than everybody right now, too, and I think that is definitely helping him as well. Sends it in on Kyle Busch, makes another clean pass for 18th. Still about 13.4 seconds off the race lead. Oh, that was a great undercut move on Earnhardt. Now he'll be on the inside into turn 6. Dale Jr. up high. Still hasn't cleared him. Now he'll clear him into turn 7. Oh, it really just drove it in deep. Underneath Kurt Busch in the 97. A lot of contact on his teammate. Kurt was being held up by Ryan Newman in the 12, and Biffle had a head of steam trying to outbrake Dale Jr., and he ended up into the side of Kurt Busch. Almost used him as his brakes, for the most part. It's amazing how much later he's able to brake versus everybody else on these fresher tires. In 4 completed laps, he has already gone from 43rd to 14th. Sits behind Mike Bliss. And Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson just in front of Kenseth. Johnson coming off a 2nd place finish at Atlanta, his best of the season. Gonna go low. Underneath Mike Bliss. Maybe a little contact with Matt Kenseth. And clears the 17. The only teammate he hasn't made any sort of contact with today is Mark Martin. That's probably because he hasn't even seen Mark yet. Tells me he's in the top 10 somewhere. More than likely. Actually, never mind. He's in 10th. He is in the top 10. 2 spots ahead of Biffle right now. Biffle closes on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Rusty Wallace trying to get away. Still racing without a hood. And everybody has not pitted except for Biffle, who has pit 3 times already during cautions 2, 3, and 4. Slides the tires a little bit into the carousel. Pushed a little too hard that time. Couldn't hold on to the grip of his own race car as he is all over Jimmy Johnson for position. To the inside of Johnson into turn 6. Side drafted him a little bit. And deep into the braking zone to clear the 48. Clean pass on Johnson at turn 7. One of the few clean passes in turn 7 for Greg Biffle today. Michael Waltrip up there. Scott Wimmer still in the top 10. Qualifying in 4th. Biffle to the inside of his teammate, Mark Martin. Drove it in very deep. Clears Martin for 10th. The only other Roush car in the top 10 other than Biffle right now would be Carl Edwards, the points leader. At least Edwards hasn't led. Rusty Wallace well outside the top 10 in points. Tony Stewart just inside the top 10 in points. So Biffle's not too worried about those guys leading. Tony Stewart has led the most laps, though, today. Biffle would have led the first 18. But when that second caution came out at lap 18, that would have been the last lap he led. So I guess he has led the most still, barely, over Tony Stewart. Closing on Michael Waltrip. Decided not to make the late dive underneath the 15, knowing that he wasn't going to get there without contact that time, so he just decided to keep it off of Waltrip now that he's inside the top 10. As long as Biffle stays this close, he's going to have a good chance to get underneath Michael. Great run. Waltrip trying to crowd just a little bit. Biffle into the corner underneath Michael Waltrip. Hugs the curbing pretty well. Waltrip, though, back to the accelerator and hangs on. Good job by Michael Waltrip fending off Greg Biffle in Biffle's probably best corner on the racetrack. Into the carousel. Waltrip still holding up Greg Biffle. It's got to be hard for the 15 to do what he's doing right now on older tires. He's trying it, though. Biffle desperately trying to get underneath Michael Waltrip. Waltrip pushing quite a bit hard. I thought he was going to end up into Wimmer there for a second, but that was not the case. Into turn 7. And Biffle has cleared the 15, so he's finally gotten around Michael Waltrip. Great clean battle between the 15 and the 16. Now Biffle's challenging Scott Wimmer in the 22. Big run for the 16. Oh, he got into Wimmer. A little bit of contact. Oh, Wimmer into the wall. Down about the start-finish line. Might have to wait till turn 7 to get around him just like he did with Waltrip. A little bit of a slide by the 16. Turn 6. Oh, man, big bounce off the curb by Wimmer. That allowed Biffle to clear for 8th place in turn 6. And now he's trying to close on teammate Carl Edwards. Wimmer was a bit airborne there for a second. That was a gigantic bounce off the curb. Kept control of his car, though. Didn't lose control completely like Truex did earlier. Lap 39 at the start-finish line this time by. We will take our first field pass of today's race at lap 39 at the start-finish line. Greg Biffle now closing on teammate Carl Edwards for 7th place. And for the time being, we will go back to Kurt Busch in the 97. Biffle just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by as well. Busch back in the 17th place position right now. He's halfway on fuel at this point in the run for himself. Rusty Wallace trying to become the 12th different winner of the season if he can win today. Had a lot of different winners in recent races. Jimmy Johnson came so close in both races of the doubleheader. He finished 8th at California, but he also led the most laps in that race from the pole. Started deep in the field at Atlanta, but ended up finishing 2nd. And led some laps in that race as well. Yeah, I think once we get into pit stops, it's where Wimmer's probably going to start losing more positions. It's holding on a lot deeper into the opening run, though, this time. We've had quite a few cautions. Again, 4 of them, so that means we've had about 12 caution laps. Busch made a nice clean pass on Ryan Newman, by the way, in turn 7. Kurt's got a big run on the 18 of Bobby Labonte. Makes a clean pass for 15th. So 2 spots gained that lap for Busch. We'll have 3 more laps with the 97 car yet. And then we'll end up transferring to another Roush Fenway Ford after that. A 1:14 second lap time, that time for Busch. Still in the championship hunt himself yet. Definitely the longest green flag run of the race so far. Which is only 11 laps, but it is the longest. Busch looking to the outside of Mike Bliss. It was an interesting move. Didn't quite pan out for Busch. But he'll still keep the pressure on into the S's. $54 laps on a full tank. I mean, with the 12 caution laps, that'd be about 42 green flag laps. That's not bad. The fuel mileage. I know Biffle could go a lot further, though. Considering he's only gone 11 laps on his fuel tank so far since the restart. Which took place at lap 30. Busch makes the pass on Bliss in turn 11. And now all over the back of his teammate Matt Kenseth through turn 1. And into the carousel. Pretty big bounce off the curb. Got Busch a little bit loose that time. Kurt with the undercut move under Kenseth. Into turn 6. Kenseth with a big bounce off the curb. Kind of similar to Scott Wimmer when Biffle got around him. It was a clean pass in turn 6. It's probably the most dangerous corner on the track to try and make a pass. That's because we did see a wreck earlier when we had cars side by side there. But even though there wasn't contact involved, it's just such a tight corner with that wall right there on the outside for you to make a mistake, especially if you have a bad bounce off the curb and lose complete control of your car. That's exactly what happened to Martin Church Jr. We're down to just 69 laps to go already, this time by. Rusty Wallace continues to lead. Kurt Busch jumps up another spot now to P12 as he gets by Jimmy Johnson. Mark Martin and Michael Waltrip to pass to get inside the top 10 here. We'll have one more lap with Busch before we transfer to another Roush Fenway Ford, which will more than likely be Matt Kenseth, is who we're going to transfer as at the start-finish line this time by. Perfect corner by Kurt Busch to get by Martin for 11th. Might have a shot at Waltrip for 10th down in turn 11 before we transfer to the 17 of Matt Kenseth. And it sounds like we've got some cars pitting this time by as well. Kurt looking alongside the 15 of Michael Waltrip. And it looks like Carl Edwards is on pit road for Roush Fenway Racing right now. Will get Busch inside the top 10. Busch locking those tires up as he tries to get around the 15 of Michael Waltrip, and he completes the pass on him. Ricky Rudd, Carl Edwards in the pits from the top 10, so Kurt Busch will be up to 7th, and I guess we'll stay with Kurt Busch an extra lap here because we can't transfer to anybody other than Greg Biffle because both Kenseth, Martin, and Edwards, all three of them are in the pits right now. Jeff Gordon leading for the first time today because Tony Stewart had just pitted from the lead, as well as Rusty Wallace as well. So Gordon out in front now for the first time. Will be the 4th different leader in this race. Kurt Busch closing on Scott Wimmer. And a little contact with Wimmer as he overdrove corner a bit. While on the inside of Wimmer. Wimmer into the pits. Kurt stays out an extra lap. Gordon still on the racetrack. Now we'll go to Matt Kenseth in the 17. And he is in the S's right now. Back at 31st after making his stop. He's still on the lead lap. So it's looking like a two-stop race for everybody right now. Maybe not for Biffle, obviously. Maybe it might be a good thing after all that Biffle pitted during the cautions. Not all of them, but the latter of the three. Whenever Jeff Gordon... Oh, we got a caution. For the 5th time. Oh, and Kenseth just blew a tire. Brian Vickers sheds debris in the carousel, and Kenseth ran it over, and that's going to hurt the 17 of Matt Kenseth. He's going to have to pit. He definitely cut a tire there. Yep, Kenseth's got a right front tire down, and that's very unfortunate. Now he'll go from about 12th place all the way to the tail end of the field with that caution, and I believe everybody who did not pit prior to the yellow will pit now, which means Greg Biffle will be back in the lead on the restart. That is a tough break for Kenseth to blow that tire. Dang. Oh, wow, Rusty Wallace wrecked under caution. Did you guys see that? Rusty Wallace was in the tire barrier under the caution flag. I didn't even see how that happened. He was just sitting there the whole time. What happened to Rusty? Is he out now? That's going to be terrible if he's out of the race because of what happened under yellow. If he wrecked under caution, he was leading laps earlier in the race. There's the flat tire. It was down to the rim. I just realized Matt Kenseth's got the Mr. How does Kenseth have the Mr. Clean crew too? Guess the entire Roush Fenway crew's got the Mr. Clean guys. So Kenseth won't be at the very tail end of the field, but that's because there were other cars that pitted that were behind him, but he's going to be pretty far back. Jeff Gordon is, in fact, a little further behind him. He was in the lead when the caution came out originally. Kenseth's going to be in 30th. Green flag back in the air. Kenseth actually would have gained a spot on pit road throughout all that because he was in 31st, but still a lot further back. A lot of stacking up going on. Kenseth, a little contact there with Kenny Wallace at the last second. Kenny Schrader, rather. I forgot they were going to stack up going through there. An evasive maneuver by Kenseth. He kept it on the asphalt. He used a little bit of the curbing, but he stayed out of the sand. Let Quaffle go. He doesn't want to be on the outside in turn 6. Ultra with a big bounce off the curb that time. Couple cars going wide into turn 7. Kenseth's going to stay on the bottom. Power slams into Tony Stewart. Ten spots gained in a little over a half a lap. Rusty Wallace leads under the caution flag. He had an issue, but it looks like he's back out in front. Somehow, whatever happened to him under the yellow has cycled him to the lead in front of Biffle. Tony Stewart passing a bunch of cars on the inside, but not as many as Matt Kenseth. Kenseth 3 wide underneath Kyle Petty. Shane Meal wedging himself between the wall and Petty for 14th. Oh, big stack up in the carousel. I don't know what happened there, but Kenny Wallace about came to a complete stop. I think he ran into the back of the 144. That stalled him out, and then Kenseth slammed into the back of Kenny Wallace. Pretty hard hit, too. Now big bounce off the curb by the 00, and Kenseth's got to run into turn 7. I think Wallace is going to play nice with him, 3 wide. 3 wide, still in the S's, and there's more contact. Everything's all right. Luckily. Kenny's got to run. He might try to get back at Kenseth. Kenseth locking the brakes up just a little bit. He's underneath Shane Meal. Oh, my gosh! Oh, big hit for Matt Kenseth. I was about to say he was about to shed some debris. I was going to try to bring it into the pits, but Shane Meal was on the outside, so I was going to stay out one more lap to keep the debris caution from coming out. And then I somehow cracked the inside wall. It's so dark in that area of the track, I didn't realize I was that close to the wall. Ricocheted him right back into Shane Meal, bringing out our 6th caution of the event. And Kenseth's going to have to go all the way to the tail again, unfortunately. All that pandemonium was all for naught. He could not pit for fuel or tires this time because he brought out the caution. And you can see all the damage on the 17, both to the front and the back. A lot of the damage to the rear is from ricocheting into Shane Meal. A lot of damage to the front of the car was because Kenny Wall stacked up a second lap after the restart going through the carousel. I think that's because he got into the back of the car in front of him. So that caution in the middle of green flag pit stops for the Brian Vickers debris yellow in turn 1 definitely has shaken the running order up quite a bit. There's quite a few fast guys in the back, and there's quite a few of the guys that really haven't been up towards the front right now. Making things a bit more interesting once again at Sonoma. So 6 cautions in this race. I think we're almost halfway home. Green flag going to be back in the air now. Lap 52. So, yep, we are just shy of halfway yet. So we have 59 laps to go. And Rusty Wallace continues to lead. And there was one other car that pitted there with Kenseth, and it was the car behind him of Casey Kane, who's still without a hood. Are we going to see a stack up coming uphill into the carousel? Kenseth was awaiting it, and good job by Casey Kane not running into the back of Matt Kenseth either. Going to be a lot more patient here with Kenseth because we're going to be swapping. We have to swap to Carl Edwards and Mark Martin yet, so we'll swap to Mark Martin next. Kenseth to the outside to make the pass on Terry Labonte at the tail end of the field. Oh, wow, that was Jeff Green trying to block Matt Kenseth that time. Kenseth running over everybody. Hey, caution. I don't know where that came out, but it happened somewhere. Caution's out again. Oh, Jeff Green goes up and over at Sonoma. Oh, my gosh. He tried sending it 3 wide too, and he ended up flipping off the turtle. The slowest flip in NASCAR history. Jeff Green upside down at Sonoma in turn 11. Have you ever? Caution number 7. He hit the turtle, bounced into, I think, Joe Nemechek, and then toppled over. The turtle has flipped Jeff Green at Sonoma in turn, literally the slowest turn on the track. He was probably going like 55 miles an hour when he flipped. Oh my gosh. Of all quarters to have a flip at Sonoma, that would be the least likely one that you would expect. Green flag back in the air. As if the restarts weren't crazy enough. Kenseth, oh, we got a wreck. There's a wreck right in front of Matt Kenseth, and he went into the sand to try to miss it. Everybody's just getting pile driven going into that first couple corners Travis Quaffle, I guess, was the reason for the caution, but there were quite a few other cars just slamming into one another up there. That stack-up caused the yellow, and now we have our 8th caution of the race. Green flag back in the air again. I want to talk about just trying to survive. 50 to go. Hopefully we can get another longer green flag run in here. That wasn't as bad of a stack up that time. Kenny Schrader's got quite a bit of damage to his car. He was holding everybody up. Kenseth went around the outside, make a bunch of passes. Now he gets into Scott Riggs. Contact with the 10. Still finding ways to wad these guys up. Oh my gosh, Kenny Wallace off the turtle. He about went into the wall. Kenseth making slight contact with Jimmy Johnson. Files in line in 22nd, so he's trying to get back through here. Kenseth's been topsy-turvy on these restarts. About as high as 12th and as low as the rear of the field. Will we make it this time through turn 11? Kenseth going really low under Jimmy Spencer, who thought about going 3 wide himself. Kenseth, oh my gosh, Kenseth just turned himself. Kenseth has just turned himself in turn 11. I mean, that was a clean hook. He drove it in so deep into the corner that when he hit the curb, he bounced up into Kevin Harvick. And ended up just turning himself into the tire barrier on the outside of the racetrack, and now he's going to the rear again. And I believe that is going to be caution number 9 rather. Caution number 9 at Sonoma. And again, Kenseth cannot take fuel or tires, causing the accident. Santiago Kid, thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm just gonna, I just need to park it at the back with Kenseth. Let's get through a couple laps. The couple laps I need to, and then swap to another Roush Fenway Ford. We had a decent green flag run there in the middle of the race. Although Kenseth has brought out 2 of the yellows, everybody else, the other 9 cautions, or I should say of the 9, Kenseth has caused 2 of them, but there's still 7 others that have been caused by other drivers. Green flag going to be back in the air again. All 43 cars still in the race despite the 9 cautions, though. Testament to the durability of these race cars today. Christopher McComas, thanks for tuning in. .30 miles an hour in turn 7. I mean, we've had some stack-ups in that corner. That's probably the slowest they've been going through turn 7 today. And we've got another yellow. Good grief. Now what? Caution number 10. Debris. Multiple pieces of debris have fallen off the 21 of Ricky Rudd's car. Oh my gosh. He just slammed it. It's like he lost his brake. It's like everything just... His brakes left the car. Rusty Wallace is in the wall again. His brakes left the car. His hood left the car. The right front fender came off the car. What was that? It's like the brake rotors just blew everything. 69. Tell you what, the guy who's liking all this the most has to be Rusty Wallace. I don't know how he keeps finding himself in the lead, but he's finding himself in the lead a lot on these restarts. John Andretti about put it in the wall after the curvature in turn 6. Kenseth locking the tires up, almost went a little too far wide, trying to make those passes on the outside. I want to attempt to try to dive bomb onto the bottom and risk causing another accident at this juncture. A built-in junkyard, yeah. And how about the guy who just shedded like everything off his car has now taken the lead in turn 11 as Ricky Rudd is outbrake Rusty Wallace in the 2. I will not cause a yellow this time. Oh, dang it! God! I thought I thought I made it through that corner. I don't think I got tagged from behind. That was... Did Dale Jarrett just crowd me? Maybe I guess I came up into him. I didn't think I did. I didn't feel that, like that one. I didn't feel I did anything wrong, and we still wrecked. Kenseth's all sorts of tore up. I didn't flip. You're correct. I think everybody's pitting here. We're within the fuel window to make it to the end of the race. Kenseth cannot pit for fuel, unfortunately, because he caused the caution. I will, though. Just so we don't screw Kenseth over. More than we already have. Sam Modding, thanks for tuning in tonight. The damage is pretty heavy on the front. Well, we get to see the Mr. Clean crew again. They're getting their hard works. They've had a lot of extra pit stops today. And they're pitting all 5 cars at once, too. How do they stay so white? They don't get dirty? Oh, wow, Ricky Rudd lost a lot of spots on pit road. Kenseth had to have gained quite a few, though, at the same time. So Rudd loses the lead on pit road. I've lost count of how many cautions we've had. I think we've had 11 yellows in today's race. Carl Edwards has cycled to the lead as the green flag is going to be back in the air at lap 74. Oh, big contact between Kyle Petty and Kevin Harvick. They're 3 wide as Vickers tries to get underneath them now off the exit of the carousel. Harvick did a great job hanging on to his car as he nearly got turned from the 45. Kenseth with a run is on the outside of Petty. Into turn 6, he'll be able to... He tried to let him go, and then the 25 of Brian Vickers got into Kenseth after Kenseth tried to pull down maybe a bit too early. Great job by Kenseth keeping it off the outside wall in turn number 6. He's going to have to fall in line behind Brian Vickers for now. Harvick and Petty side by side again for 13th. Good day for Kyle Petty thus far. There, didn't make contact that time, taking the dive bomb move. Kenseth up to 12th as he gets by 3 cars. Kyle Petty, Kevin Harvick, and Brian Vickers that time. One more lap with Kenseth finally, and to Mark Martin we go. So we got 36 laps left. As long as we get green flag racing in here, we still have plenty of time left in this race. Kenseth making a move. Again for position. Kenny Schrader. Schrader's hung in there pretty strong. So is Scott Riggs. Side by side in the S's. Kenseth's going to give up the spot. Didn't want to go side by side through here. Should be in prime position to get around him in the next couple corners. Turn 11 as long as he keeps the pressure on. Wallace. I don't know why I said Wallace. Kenny Schrader goes a little bit wide. And the wrong Kenny. Oh, Schrader making a dive bomb move, though. Blocked the 17 and gets by the 10 of Scott Riggs. Kenseth gets by Riggs, so Riggs loses 2 spots in 1 corner. Kenseth might have missed a shift, though, getting back through the gears, and Riggs is able to power back by him anyway. So to Mark Martin we go, as he is back in 32nd. Biffle right in front of him. Biffle's got a fast car, so I don't have any work. Well, now we got another yellow. Well, okay. Caution's out again. And it's debris off Kenny Schrader's race car. I noticed his hood was pretty damaged when we were driving around him with Kenseth. And that will be the debris yellow. I've lost count of how many cautions we've had today. Let me know down in the chat exactly how many we had. We have had, I think we've had 12. We might have had more, we might have had less. I think we're at 12 cautions. We're going to swap to Greg Biffle on this restart. We're going to drive as Greg Biffle now, try to pick up some spots on the restart if we get any more continuous yellows. If we have time to go back to Mark Martin and Carl Edwards before the end of the race, we will. Major stack up in that corner. Somehow no caution. 3 wide with Jamie McMurray. Mark Martin got a lot of damage off of that. Major stack up. Biffle's got a lot of damage on the front of his car. We've got a caution. And I think Mark Martin's hood has just come off. Luckily, it was not Biffle's hood, and actually, never mind. Well, Mark Martin's hood came off, but I think there was debris simultaneously with the 120 of John Hamilton as well. Another caution. And Biffle's going to have to pit to repair the damage to the front of his car. I mean, there was just nowhere to go that time with that major stack up with Jamie McMurray. Greg Biffle's going to take on 4 fresh tires here. He's going to go backwards a little bit. .120 is Lawton. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. Luckily, I mean, Biffle could top off. He was probably going to be good on fuel anyway, I'd have to imagine. Everybody should be good on fuel to the end. Biffle's had a pretty clean day today, too, up until that restart, but they stacked up so many cars in front of him again into the carousel, and Biffle had nowhere to go. I did not think this was going to be a war of attrition kind of a race, but it's been that way today, unfortunately. Couldn't be that easy starting from the pole, could it? Just couldn't be that easy. Cautions were breeding cautions early in the race, and we had a couple decent green flag runs. Ever since just shy of the halfway mark, it has been caution after caution after caution. We have not been able to break free. I've only caused 3 of them, and they were as Matt Kenseth, unfortunately, but... So it's not like, I mean, Biffle has had 0 to do with any of these cautions so far today. I don't think that's going to be the last debris caution after that big stack-up we saw, and who's to say we don't get more stack-ups. So Biffle's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to have to try not to wreck himself in doing so, which is going to be difficult, but I'd say of the Roush cars we were able to drive as, he's probably had the best handling of those cars in this race as the green flag is back in the air. He doesn't want to be involved in the stack-up this time. He was far enough behind it. Tony Stewart's towards the back right now. He is in 41st. What happened to Stewart? He was leading laps early in the race as well. Rusty Wallace was leading laps early. He's at the back. It's amazing how far back these cars have cycled. Into turn 7. 3 wide moves being made by Biffle. Down on the bottom. 4 wide at Sonoma. Contact with Lawton in the 120. Biffle trying to clear. There's more contact in the S's. Biffle trying to keep the car on the track. It barely did. Had to unfortunately let Lawton go, though. And in the end, he didn't really gain that many positions out of that. Gotta go for a lot more, though. Into turn 11, but the caution comes out right before he can gain all those spots. So the yellow flag is out for debris. And it's off Michael Waltrip's race car. Worst part is Carl Edwards is leading this race, which is not what Greg Biffle can have happen here. So we're in the late going with yet another yellow, and we're going to have yet another restart right now at lap 88, leaving us 23 laps to go. Biffle hoping for a long green flag run to the finish, try to get as many spots as he can. Oh, he went off into the sand. They were stacking up right in front of him, and he tried to miss Rusty Wallace at the last second, and he went too far wide. And back to last goes Biffle, unfortunately. A lot of contact with the 144 car, and he can't get off of him. Biffle able to find his way to the bottom. Pushing really hard. Contact with Rusty Wallace, got hung up on the deuce. Wallace going to drop back a couple spots. Contact between Rusty Wallace and Lawton. That allows Biffle to get by Wallace. Lawton crowds him a bit. Little contact there. Contact with Joe Nemechek. Sterling Marlin just pile drove Greg Biffle into the wall in that finishing corner. More carnage. I think Biffle blew a tire running over a piece of debris in there. He's going to have to pit. I mean, he just drove him straight into the wall. And it just seems like when you're mired mid-pack on back, you have absolutely nowhere to go. Might not have had a tire down, but at the same time, it was hard to tell. I felt the controller vibrate when I ran over the piece of debris. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Well, we don't have enough. Not going to have 20 more cautions because we're running out of laps for there to even be that many. I have no clue what Sterling Marlin was doing there. I didn't even have any beef with Sterling Marlin. I have no clue why he did that. Jamie McMurray in the pits as well, taking tires. We'll have yet another restart at Sonoma. Green flag back in the air. Carl Edwards leads the field to the green on the restart. We're down to just 19. Make that 18 laps to go. No major stack up that time. Biffle pushing extremely hard. Skirts the tires quite a bit yet again as he gets alongside Jeff Burton in the 31. Trying to make a quick pass on Burton. Locking those tires up again there as he gets by Jamie McMurray in the 42. McMurray going wide. He clips the wall on the outside. But way too far wide. Greg Biffle trying to take advantage of the fresh tires at the rear of the field. Sterling Marlin dive bombing 3 wide. Biffle actually didn't make contact that time. Trying to get single file into the S's. And he barely crams himself between the 120 and the 43. And get through turn 11 without a caution. He can gain quite a few spots here. He's in prime position. Gets to the inside of the 43. He's going to have a shot to do so as he cuts all the way down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Greg Biffle picking up a bunch of positions now as he's underneath the 88 of Dale Jarrett. A little bit of contact with Jarrett. Well, he's up to 24th. Edwards still out in front. Leffler going wide. He's up into the wall. 17 laps to go at Sonoma. Contact up ahead. Kenny Wallace. Oh my gosh. Jeff Gordon. Jason Leffler. Oh my gosh. Biffle's out. About got turned there. They sandwiched each other a couple times. And Biffle got turned from behind by the 00 of Kenny Wallace. Lost a couple spots in the carousel. He tried to follow Leffler and Gordon into that hole. And then Leffler ended up jamming on the brakes at the last second. Leffler gets up into the 19 of Jeremy Mayfield now. They make contact. Biffle gets around both of them. Rubs into Terry Labonte as well as he clears him in the S's for 22nd. Earl Arnold Jr., thanks for tuning in. Biffle with another deep dive. Caution. That was a perfect timing yellow for Greg Biffle because that caution came out after he passed about 4 cars going into turn 11. The problem is that's less green flag laps. It looks like debris off Mark Martin's race car has brought out the upteenth caution in today's race. Biffle trying to take advantage of these 4 fresh tires. Lap 98, 13 laps to go with the green flag back in the air. Watch the stack. Oh, man, didn't even get a chance. Caution's out as they head into turn 1. Now we're going to have less than 10 to go on the restart. Debris off Sterling Marlin's race car further back. Billy Carjoy, thanks for tuning in. Biffle just needs more green flag laps. Carl Edwards trying to go for back-to-back wins. He's hanging on all these late race restarts. We saw drivers swap in the lead quite a bit on restarts earlier in the race. And Biffle actually lost a spot before that caution came out in turn 1, I guess. Thought he was in 18th, now he's in 19th. His green flag's back in the air. They're stacking up in front of him, and he's taking the shortcut. Well, he passed 2 cars doing that. He's on the outside of Jimmy Johnson. Can't get around the 48. He's going to go wide into the wall. And Ricky Rudd, rather, into the back of the 16. Biffle battles back with Johnson. Into the S's, Biffle locking the tires up, and he's going to have to let JJ go. Not the greatest restart for Biffle by any means. He hasn't had a lot of good ones today, I'll tell you that much. 8 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by Johnson. Going to drive it in deep. Biffle even deeper. Gets around the 48. He's up to 12th. Scott Wimmer and Kevin Harvick holding everybody up into turn 11. 8 laps left for Carl Edwards at the front of the field. Kenny Schrader and Scott Riggs are still inside the top 10 late in this race. Scott Wimmer has been up towards the top dozen, or right around there most of the day as well. So the field's going to start to really string out now towards the front. Biffle skirting the tires as he gets to the inside of Kyle Petty off of turn 5 into 6. Big bounce off the curb on the inside for Biffle, but hangs on to it. Looking low. Gets by Riggs. Gets by Schrader. He's got Boris Said, Sheen Meal in front of him. They're also having great performances. Of course, Said, a road course ringer. And Biffle's inside the top 10 for the first time in a while as he's up to 9th. Said squeezing Biffle. Biffle doesn't want an accident to happen here. He needs all the laps he can get. Might have a shot to get around Boris Said. Said, hard on the attack himself down on the bottom of the racetrack. Biffle going 3 wide. Rubs alongside of Said. Said gets by Meal. Biffle gets by Meal and Said for 7th. And we're down to 7 laps to go. Has to pass about a car a lap, but he's still 6 seconds behind Carl Edwards, though, on top of the fact that he's got a lot of other cars to try and pass. Kyle Busch in the top 5 right now. Biffle pulling out of line on Mike Bliss, looking to make the pass. Oh, Bliss and Busch made contact, and that allowed for Biffle to get by him cleanly. Mike Bliss, who overdrove the corner on the outside of Biffle, got into Kyle Busch, nearly turned the 5, and Biffle got by both of them to move up to 5th. Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, the next 2 cars ahead of Biffle. Sadler definitely somebody he wants to beat. You know what? We're going to have team orders come into play here. And Carl Edwards may end up losing the lead. We'll see. Biffle's up with the faster cars now. We know he has a fast car himself. But is he fast enough to catch all these cars around him and still have a shot at the win? He's all over Ryan Newman's back bumper into the S's. It's a battle for 4th. I don't think Biffle would have been able to do this without the help of fresh tires, but he is on his way forward as he gets to the inside of Ryan Newman. Off of turn 10, they side draft each other into 11. And Greg Biffle is up to 4th, off the curb clear. Newman beating Biffle back through the gears a little bit. 5 to go. Caution comes out, the race could end. Oh, Newman into the back of Biffle. And Busch up the middle, gets by everyone. Oh, but now Newman and Busch make contact on the bottom. And Biffle actually hangs on to it. Kyle Busch tried to jam himself into the middle there, 3 wide. With the hole closed up by Newman after he got into the back of the 16, and then the 12 got into the side of the 5. Biffle lost a lot of time on the top 3, though. And by the way, Dale Jr. is in the lead for the first time, and Earnhardt's still winless this season, so he's trying to become yet another new winner on the year. Edwards is in 2nd, Sadler trying to get around him for position. And Dale Jr. pulling away. Four laps to go at the line. Biffle closing big time on Carl Edwards. Was fading here in the late going. Biffle and Edwards making a little bit of contact. Edwards off into the sand. Now he crowds the 16. Biffle into turn 7. More contact with Edwards. He's up to 3rd. Things were looking pretty bad for Biffle before this late race charge to get up to 3rd place where he's at. Assuming Carl Edwards has led the most laps in today's race, if Biffle beats him by 1 spot, then that means that there will be no points gained or lost on either driver. They will net the same amount of points today because Biffle did lead earlier from the pole. But he has not led since lap 18. He's closing in on Elliott Sadler. We're down to just 3 laps to go. Biffle still has the freshest tires in the field. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win at this point. Closing on Sadler. Nose to tail right now for 2nd. Still 2 seconds off the race lead. Biffle needs to get around the 38 quickly and efficiently. Can't quite get alongside Sadler yet. Into turn 10. Sadler going a bit wide. Biffle underneath him. Trying to side draft. Sadler trying to block into 11. Biffle locking up those front tires just a little bit. Making contact with the 38. Clear for 2nd. Two to go. Dale Jr. leads by 2 seconds over Greg Biffle. Sadler pulling alongside Biffle. He's not done with his battle yet. And the more these two battle, the more of a chance Dale Jr. is going to have of pulling away. Sadler holding on strong. Caution's out with 2 to go, and that might end the race. I don't know who was in 2nd at the time. Oh, Junior! Okay, no, that was after. Oh, Carl Edwards has crashed late. Oh my gosh, the points leader has just wrecked. Off the curb and into the wall. And turn 5, it appears. Will we get another shot? Sadler was scored ahead of Biffle when the caution came out. I think that is going to end the race. If not, we'll get a restart with 2 to go and 1 attempt at a green-white checker, but I think that's going to do it. Yep, checkered flag. Race has ended under the caution. Dale Jr. will be the 12th different winner of the season. And Sadler did a great job battling back on Greg Biffle there at the end. And Edwards bringing out that caution costed Biffle second, and with a lap and a half to go, maybe a shot at the win, but Sadler and Biffle were battling each other quite a bit, and I don't think Earnhardt really had a shot. Or I should say, I don't think they had a shot to catch Earnhardt. So Dale Jr. gets the first win for DEI this season. And it comes on a road course, his first career road course victory. He led just 4 laps in today's race. And it was the final 4 in this one. Sadler didn't lead a lap, finished in second. Greg Biffle ends up third with 19 laps led. Carl Edwards led 34 laps today, which was not the most laps led. So that means Greg Biffle actually outpoints Edwards by 5 points today. Ryan Newman ends up finishing in 5th. Kyle Busch in 6th with a lap led. Mike Bliss 7th. Boris said 8th. Great run on a road course for him. Shane Meal gets a top 10, finishing 9th today. And Kenny Schrader also with a top 10 in this wild card race late in the season. 18 cautions for 52 caution laps. 12 lead changes. 49.7 miles per hour is the average race speed. Very slow. Race ended under yellow for the margin of victory. And then the total race time, 4 hours, 24 minutes on this one. Pretty lengthy today. Matt Kenseth came back to finish 11th. Let's see here. Kurt Busch, he ends up finishing in 23rd. Mark Martin, 26th. And it looks like Rusty Wallace led the most laps today by just 1 lap over Carl Edwards. So if Edwards would have held on to the lead for just 1 more lap, he would have received 10 bonus points as well. But he was 1 lap shy of getting the most laps led, so that was big when he lost the lead when he did. And then his wreck ended the race. His wreck definitely cost Biffle a shot at second. MC Videos, thanks for tuning in. I see you in the chat there towards the end. I don't think anybody well, Brian Vickers DNF'd, I guess. So did Tony Stewart. Brian Vickers, Tony Stewart DNF'd. Tough break for Stewart. He started second. Fortunately finished 42nd. Michael Waltrip, last car in the lead lap. So only 2 DNFs today. Time to check out the point standings. Edwards, Biffle have both closed in. Started on the pole. Tomorrow's race will be the Subway Fresh 500 at Phoenix. Our coverage begins at noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So again, noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, we'll be racing at Phoenix. And we'll have 9 races to go in the season. And the point standings before we end the stream. Carl Edwards still has the points lead in his rookie season. Almost got his 3rd win of the year. Almost went back-to-back today, but lost the lead late. Dale Jr. picks up the win, leading the final 4 laps. Again, Jr.'s first of the season. Elliott Sadler is second in points after finishing second. 3rd straight top 5 for both Edwards and Sadler now. Greg Biffle 3rd in points as he has gotten by Kurt Busch in the standings. So he has moved up to 3rd, top 3 within 137 points of each other as of right now. And then Jeff Gordon not too far behind Kurt Busch in 5th. Jimmy Johnson in 6th. Mike Bliss even bigger gap back to him. Big gap between Johnson and Bliss, 6th and 7th. Kenseth is up to 8th in points. Tony Stewart falls back to 9th with the DNF. And Bobby Labonte, who got his first win of the season a couple races ago at Texas, still in the top 10 in points. He's actually tied with Dale Jarrett for 10th. Now he's in 10th all by himself. Jarrett back to 11th. And Dale Jr. picking up his first win. He's 12th in points, 471 back. But he's really not that far behind Bliss in 7th, who isn't that... Yeah, I mean... about 131 points behind Mike Bliss, but still within one race worth of points at least of 7th in the standings, but he's a couple races out of 1st. Well, that's going to end tonight's stream. Thanks for everybody tuning in. This was a lot more chaotic than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be fairly calm, maybe see a couple cautions here and there. We saw a lot of cautions today, and not too many of them involved Greg Biffle. What, 2 cautions involved Greg Biffle this whole race? We had 18 yellows. I mean, we were just kind of stuck in traffic, really, because of all the yellows coming out around us, and we took advantage on fresh tires on that last, well, it would have been second to last caution. Obviously, the race ended under yellow with the caution with 2 to go. And I think that was the second longest green flag run of the race from 18 to go on that second to last restart. Oh, no, hang on. It was restarted with 13 to go, 9 to go. Maybe it was a little less than what I thought. I don't know. Either way, though, it was a good fight to the finish. At least we got a 3rd place run. We didn't lose points to Edwards. We gained 5 points on him at the end of the day. It's better than nothing. Still within one race worth of points, and we still have a quarter of the season to go. Phoenix is one of my best tracks on this game. It's a very much track position kind of a racetrack, though, so we're going to want to keep the lead as much as we can. It's very hard to pass the leader here. Very few passes for the lead will probably take place tomorrow afternoon at Phoenix, so going to have to qualify well. And going to just, whatever the strategy is tomorrow, we're going to stay out of the pits, and we're going to lead as many laps as we can. So, the opposite of what we did today. I did not think when I pitted on the second yellow during lap 18 that we were going to fall as far back in the field as we did and stay there for most of the race. Unfortunately, that was the case. But I didn't think we were going to see that many yellows today, honestly. That's the main reason. I pitted thinking everybody else was going to pit. They stayed out. They made it on 2 stops. I had to pit a little extra because of that, and still came back to finish 3rd, but probably took me out of at least a good shot to win, which is unfortunate because we had a fast car. Either way, another good finish on a road course. And again, thanks for everybody tuning in. Have a happy rest of your Saturday. Again, go Blue. Beat Ohio State today. We're going to the Big Ten Championship next weekend. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.